Video is now being used in many job interviews, and the trend is growing rapidly, so it's really important to develop your ability and to become more comfortable in the use of video. Now, there's two ways that video is being used. Firstly, it may be simply a video interview, either replacing or as an addition to a face-to-face interview. The other very popular way of using video these days is where the employer asks the applicants to present the answer to a few questions in a video presentation. Now, if you want to stand out, it's important to know what to do. So here's a few tips on preparation and equipment to present yourself in the very best possible way. So to start off with, for a video interview, you must prepare in advance in exactly the same way as you would do for a face-to-face interview. Consider the questions that you're likely to be asked and practice how you will answer them. Next, make sure that you have a sensible username that will appear on the screen during the interview. And by the way, if you happen to be using somebody else's computer or tablet, make sure that you change the name so that it's showing yours and not their name. Next, always test your technology. Make sure that everything's working correctly well in advance of the scheduled meeting. Give yourself plenty of time to resolve any problems. And it's always a good idea to do a test run with a friend or a family member beforehand. And remember, if you're using a laptop, if it's not going to be plugged into the mains, make sure that it's fully charged before the meeting starts. And I would also recommend that you do not use a smartphone for a video interview. The next thing is to make sure that you dress appropriately for the meeting. Not only is this important for the way that you appear to the people conducting the interview, but it's also important for you, for your own confidence and your mental preparation for the meeting. And I would also recommend that you wear a plain shirt or blouse without a pattern, especially a small stripe or a check, as this usually causes strobing and it doesn't look good. The next point is about making sure that you have a quiet location for the interview, so there are no distractions and you're not going to be disturbed by other people or even by animals. It's also a good idea to put an appropriate notice on your outside door so that you're not disturbed during the meeting by somebody ringing the doorbell. And make sure that there's nothing distracting in the background. And unless you have a professional green screen and can choose a background, I would suggest that you do not use the background options provided by the various platforms, as the distortions that these cause to the shape of somebody's head can be extremely off-putting. And I'm sure that it goes without saying that you must make sure that there are no filters giving you a cat's face or anything else that can distort, and turn off any alerts such as email or social media that may pop up during the meeting. Now, when it comes to the meeting, it's also very important that you maintain eye contact. Now, this means that you must look at your camera, not at the face of the other person. Now, this often needs practice, as it's normal to look at the face that you're talking to, more difficult to talk to a camera. So I would strongly recommend that you practice all your answers with a friend or a family member, but talking to the camera, not the person. Also, allow a short pause after the interviewer has asked a question, as often with some connections there can be a delay and the interviewer may not hear the beginning of your answer. And finally, speak slowly and clearly, as it's not easy to hear people on a virtual interview as it is in a face-to-face interview. So that then leads us to recording answers to set questions. Now, so many of the points that I've already raised apply equally, such as the background, dress, speed of delivery, presenting directly to the camera, and ensuring that there's no distractions. However, the way the answers are delivered is different, and the equipment can be different. Firstly, you need to think about if you want to simply answer the question directly to the camera without any prompting, or if you want to write your answers out and read it. And please note, both of these options require practice. Now, to kick off, I would recommend writing out your answer in full very carefully, no matter which way you want to deliver it. It's a good idea to write out a draft, and then, no matter how good you think that is, leave it overnight and revisit it again the next day. And continue to revise the script until you're comfortable that you have properly answered the question and in the best possible way. Believe me, it's worth investing the time to do this. Then you must practice. Practice, 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 presenting your answer, talking out loud. It makes an incredible difference to say it out loud and talk directly to the camera, trying to avoid any hesitations, umming or eyeing, and always look directly into the camera. Now, not everyone can do that. So the alternative, if you have access to a tablet, is to use one of the teleprompter apps available, as some of these can record your presentation as the script is scrolling by. Now again, this needs practice, as you need to look and sound like you're not reading it. It should come over as naturally as possible, as if you're talking to somebody quite normally. Another point is your posture. Don't lie back in a chair. If you can stand, that would be much, much better. Or if you want to sit down, make sure that you're leaning forward. Now, with regard to equipment, these days smartphones have great cameras, but the sound is never quite so good. And even most video cameras don't have very good microphones. So if you can, try to invest in a wireless lapel microphone, as this makes sound so much better, and that's important. Also again, if you can get a fixed stand for the camera, no matter what type you're using, that's far, far better than getting a person to hold the camera, as that creates movement, which is distracting. Now to finish off, please remember that to get the very best results, you really must practice, practice, and practice. And when doing so, always talk out loud. Thank you.